In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Dewback and Sandtrooper for the Power of the Force line. A Dewback has been something that's been on my list for over 20 years now at this point. I recall back around 2009, 2010, during the Legacy collection. It was a Walmart exclusive pack. They had the Dewback and Sandtrooper at the time. And I had it in hand. I even walked through the store with it. But then I thought, it's just too expensive for what it is. At the time, I think they were asking $60 for it, which back around 2009, 2010, that was pretty expensive for a vehicle set or a creature set at the time. So I ended up putting it back on the shelf, and since then, I didn't really seriously revisit getting a Dewback over the next decade after that. Fast forward to the last couple of years, I started doing some research as to what is considered the best Dewback that you can get at this point, made between Kenner and Hasbro. And it seems like the general consensus is for this Power of the Force one. And the reason being is because it's the most accurate to A New Hope. And then going back and looking at the Legacy Collection one, that one's actually more accurate to the prequels. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So for the first Dewback, I thought I'd rather get one that's more accurate to the original trilogy. And plus this one is much more affordable compared to the other Dewbacks that you can get. I only paid about somewhere between $25 and $30 for this, which is not bad for a new set that's 30 years old almost at this point. So I am personally very happy to finally get a Dewback in my collection. It's been a missing piece for too many years now at this point. I do hope to get the Legacy Collection Dewback at some point, but there's no particular rush for it. If I ever find a good deal for one, I'll definitely get it. And then in addition to this Dewback, I brought out all my Sandtroopers and some Jawas. We'll make a little diorama scene with all of them. And this is the first Power of the Force style Sandtrooper / Stormtrooper mold that I have in my collection. As you can see, it's definitely not up to the standards that the ones I just showed you, but I think it will be perfectly fine for what it is. And I kind of view this as it'll be like you're looking at the Dewback from a distance, and you're just kind of seeing the outline of the Sandtrooper. I think it'll be perfect for that. So here's the back here. And yeah, supposedly the mouth is movable and you can move the tail. Some of the other figures from the line. Wouldn't mind getting that Skyhopper. Snow Speeder, I wonder how that is. The probe droid might be interesting. For the rest of the figures here, I don't think most of them will be necessary to get at this point, but we'll see down the road. But anyways, I'll go ahead and get this opened up off screen, and then I'll see you in a second with the display made up. Unfortunately, the Dewback was a little bit on the sticky side. I could tell right away as I was opening it. The twist ties, they had that sticky film over them, and I was like, oh great. It's not the worst. In fact, all I did was just give it a wash in some warm water and soap for a little bit, and it seemed to have mostly done the trick. Might have to do it one more time. Overall, turned out alright in the end. But I think that's kind of kind of expected after being in the package for almost 30 years. That is one thing I'm realizing from opening a lot of older action figures over the last few years, is that they need that constant airflow, and when they're in the package for that many years, it's not very good for them. Kind of makes me think of some of the action figures I have carded, and if I should open them or not. Here's my little display I have set up. Brought the remnant stormtroopers out. I have not done an individual video yet for them, but I plan to here soon. All my various Sandtroopers. This guy here is meant to be doing a pointing pose, but can't really do that. And we have the Sandtroopers here negotiating with the Jawas. Well, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this Dewback here. Take the Sandtrooper off. Sandtrooper wasn't really sticky, but I still ran him through the wash anyway. But the Sandtrooper is pretty good. I really like it. Of course, this is the more buffed up style, but you know, it has its charm to it. And I think he fits in alright with the Sandtroopers I have. Like I said, this is kind of like a Sandtrooper mold, where if you had the Dewback out in the distance, and then if you have this guy on top, of course you're not going to see all the defined features of a person being in a distance, and I think the Sandtrooper would be perfect for that. One thing I really like is that you can actually plug in the rifle on the side of his pack there. Of course, this particular rifle, it's not very practical to be equipped on the pack like that, but you know, there's no reason why the E11 can't do that. So that's a feature I wish Hasbro would include on the newer Sandtroopers. And I'm sure we're going to be getting a new Sandtrooper here very soon. Probably not too long after this video. But we'll see. The weathering on this is very nice as well. Of course, it's not perfect. It seems to be a little too clean on the back here compared to the front. And the articulation's pretty basic. The swivel at the neck, and then swivel shoulders. Yeah. Then the swivel hips, and then he does have hinged knees, which was kind of an innovative thing at the time. And that's to accommodate him sitting on the Dewback. And that's pretty much it. Pack is a little bit of a different design. A little bit less detail, but it's still nice. And he does stand pretty good on his own. He does have this staff here as well, which is a whole lot bigger compared to the two back here. Very nice. The pack is removable as well. But it does stay in the place there pretty good. So you could treat this as just a normal Stormtrooper if you wanted to. And as for the Dewback himself, I'm very impressed with this. It feels like something that's been on your list to get for many years now, and then when you finally have it, it's a great feeling. But the detail on this is very nice. As you can see, it has that very reptilian skin texture to them. Combination of reds and browns. And the saddle here. Some of the equipment. Nice detail in the eyes and the mouth here. So what you can do, kind of an interesting feature, is you move his tail and his head moves along with it. And the mouth will open up as well. And you can see the detail of the teeth. Oops. And you can see his tongue there as well. Very nice. You could put a Jawa in his mouth or something. It's the talons on his feet. Various poses here. It's kind of like a crawling gesture, and the rest are more planted. And he stands pretty good on his own. It's not an awkward stance or anything. Of course, the Dewback, as we see in the special edition of A New Hope, he does have a little bit of a wobbliness to him. We can tell by the Sandtrooper on his back. And I think this Dewback kind of captures that. And he is a little bit articulate as well. Besides the tail, he does have the swivel at all four of his shoulders. And you can move the head on its own if you wanted to. So not too bad of a feature. In fact, it's a nice feature because it's not too obvious. You can, even if you're a collector and you don't really care for features like that, it's something that's not obviously a part of the action figure. It's not like there's a huge button sticking out of his back or anything like that. And the Sandtrooper fits on pretty nice. Try to get him to hold this here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I can tell you initially about this Dewback. It's very nice. I'm glad to finally have it in my collection, as I've said a few times now. It's a huge item I've been wanting to check off my list, and I do hope to get a few of the other Dewback molds at some point. I will be featuring this in many videos down the road, so stay tuned for all that. In fact, I might take all these Sandtroopers and Remnant Stormtroopers in the Dewback and do another display here fairly soon. Overall, recommended set. Like I said, be careful with the stickiness. If you can find one loose, that might end up being an option since it's been exposed to air for however many years now at this point, whenever it was opened. But still, if you can find one in the package, that's alright too. I didn't pay too much for this. At most, you could probably spend $30 for this, brand new. Not a bad deal at all. It's nice that a lot of the Power of the Force action figures and sets have remained fairly affordable over the years. In fact, one more thing I'll mention just before we sign off. I'm not sure if this showed up on the camera when I first showed off the box, but look at that price. Yeah, it's on this side. Look at that. $14.99 for this set. Incredible. It's interesting to see how much the inflation's gone up over the last 30 years or so. I think it's terrible. But that's a subject for another time. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review and mini diorama. There'll be many more in the future. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support, and check out some links in the description if you haven't done so already. Of course, as always, thanks for watching.